So this is the kids' iMac which they use in the living room. I bought this iMac from a car boot sale for about £20, which is like $27. It had a firmware password on it when I got it, which I had to remove, and there's a video of me doing that on YouTube. You check the description, and if I remember to, I'll link it up here as well. So that was 6 months ago, and since then it's worked fine, no real problems. The kids play games on it from the App Store and also from CBBS. The one problem with it is that, especially when you're on Safari, it does get quite laggy. So I was planning on making some improvements. At the moment, it's got OS Catalina installed, and someone made a good comment about not running the latest OS, considering it's such old hardware now. And I do agree, and so I was planning on installing an earlier version of the OS. My only concern is that the further back you go in terms of OS, the less likely you are to have apps that are supported. And especially with kids games, it's not like, you know, they're going to update it or anything. So I just figured I'd go for the latest OS. High Sierra would be a good one in this instance, but support for that ended December 2020. I also did consider going to Mojave, and upon checking on DOS Dude's website, which is the guy that I used to help me install the latest OS on this, he has a supported list, and my iMac 8-1 does support it, but I don't think I'll be downgrading mine at the moment, although I would recommend it, especially if you're trying to use it for, you know, more intensive applications. So this iMac that I've got is the iMac 8-1. It's the A1224 20-inch, and it's the Core 2 Duo. So this specific one was released March 2009. It actually originally shipped with 1 gig RAM and a 250 gig hard drive. It's currently still got the original hard drive in it, which is amazing. However, at the moment it's got 3 gigs of RAM. The plan with this video is to upgrade the hard drive. Obviously the hard drives are slow. I didn't really fancy opening the Mac, but if I can get a speed performance, let's do it. So in this video, we'll upgrade the hard drive to an SSD. I've got a cheap SSD which I got for 12 quid on Amazon, just a 60 gig one. And in terms of RAM, since it's currently got 3 gigs installed, I wanted to try and get up to 6 gig of RAM, which would be a 4 gig stick and a 2 gig stick. However, there's obviously a lot of clever people out there that know that there's people that have these old iMacs that want to upgrade their RAM. And so try and go and find those 4 gig sticks for these iMacs. They're a joke. You know, some people are charging £60 for one 4 gig stick, which is just crazy. So if you do want to upgrade the iMac RAM, then you need to get 800 megahertz PC2 6400 DDR2, and it's the 200 pin one. So it took me a long time to figure that out for some reason. I ended up ordering a 2 gig stick on Amazon for under £10. And I figured going from 3 gig to 4 gig is probably worth it, since that's a 33% increase in memory speed just for under 10 quid. So some other possible things to consider are that you can actually upgrade the CPU and the GPU, but I just don't fancy the headache. And as you'll see later on in this video, I had a horrible time trying to upgrade the hard drive. So upgrading the CPU and the GPU, no, not for me at all. Okay, so this is the iMac that we're working on. To get to the RAM is super easy, right? Just straight under there. But getting the screen off, I don't have suction cups. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to try and use labels to basically stick them onto the screen and pull them up, because the screen's just attached via magnets. So these labels should be strong enough to pull them off. They're actually labels from like a Dynamo label printer, if you know what those are. So yeah, let's try and pull them off. Okay, so those are on now, and I'm just going to try and pull it off like this. No, okay, I'm gonna need more. Let's put some more. So I managed to use some duct tape like this to lift it up like momentarily, but then it dropped back down. So I don't know, I'm gonna have to keep trying, but try and get something underneath it. Oh, he went up there again. So yeah, once I'll put the phone down and get something underneath it. Okay, nice. So that worked, duct tape worked, and it just comes straight off, which is nice. So yeah, that's off now. So now I just need to remove all of these screws. I think there's like 12 of them, so let's get to that. I've taken out all of these screws, but actually now I think I need to remove this one, which is super hard to get off, but let me get it off. Right, so I just need to be careful now about disconnecting this connector up here, which is for the webcam and stuff. If you just pull it off, you're gonna rip that, so you have to disconnect that. Okay, and here's what it looks like. So my fan is in absolute state. I mean, it's just chock-a-block to dust. Hard drive now. I assume the hard drive is going to be behind the screen, so, or actually I know it's behind the screen, so yes, I'm probably going to have to disconnect some stuff here. I'm not entirely sure what, But let's just take off the screen and we'll see where we go from there. So this is the LCD display connector, so I'm going to remove these two screws here on this side here, and then I'm going to lift the display up towards the left there, and then hopefully I can access the drive from there. I might need to lay the Mac down and use something to prop the screen up so I don't have to disconnect the whole thing, but yeah, it's a bit tricky. Alright, so screws are out here, and then you just got to pull this up. A bit tough, but yeah. Now that's disconnected from the board, so then take these screws off around the side now. That was a fail. I tried to lift up the screen, but there's a connector here which is still connected in. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's like, okay, this is the connector here. This connector here is connected in. So I'm gonna pull that connector out. There you go. Okay, so now there's still some connections on this side, which is why it's ideal. I'm probably going to use the power supply box, I think, to prop up the screen so I can access the hard drive without having to disconnect all the connectors on this side as well. So yeah, it's a bit. Okay, so I've removed that cable from the fan now, and there you go, I've got access to the hole underneath. So there's the hard drive. It should be a simple replacement, and I'm thinking of taking out the optical drive as well, but for now I might leave that there. Wherever is that obviously you got these two cables there, which is, you know, can be a problem. So I might just disconnect that little tape there, so I've got more room to use. So I've taped the screen up to up there, so the screen's staying there now, and then I just need to disconnect this connector here. Yeah, I can't really get it. Okay, well, instead of disconnecting that, I need to somehow unscrew this, so I just want to take out these screws. I wonder how I'm getting to these ones over here. We'll see. So there's this temperature sensor thing that I've got to remove here. So I could unplug that, but I'm not going to. It's just easier if I just remember that I need to plug that back in. Now I've removed these screws, and then there's this super weird hard clip that you've got to press in, so I can't do it with two hands, but I'm going to try and do it now, and then that should pop the hard drive straight out. Let me try a screwdriver. There you go. So that one's out, and then same here. There you go. Yeah, okay, so that's that clip out. Okay. And now you got these two connectors on there. Yeah. This drive still might be useful. It's 250 gig. I'm just gonna stick it in my hard drive copier and then copy the contents from this over to an SSD. So I couldn't clone my hard drive, so I'm just gonna stick this brand new SSD in and then just install it from fresh from USB. Now I just need to connect this little temperature sensor back on, so I'm just going to stick this here. Do that there. There you go. Got this 2 gig SSD stick which I ordered yesterday, got it today, and I'm just going to install it in here. I just need to figure out which one's the 1 gig and which one's the 2 gig. So take them both out and install whichever one is the 1 gig, and that will up us up to 4 gig. Okay, so here's a concern for me. So these are the two chips that were in 1 gig and 2 gig. They're both 66 megahertz. Or 666 megahertz, and this one's 800. So I'm actually wondering if the one that I've just bought is going to work, which is a bit of a problem. So I'm going to stick these two in, so 66 and 800. I feel like there's going to be a problem there, but what I might need to do is I might actually need to just purchase 2 of these. So we'll see. I'll stick them both in now, see if that happens. The good thing is I don't have to actually undo any of this again. Obviously I can just access the RAM 6 from just there, so let's stick it in and see if it works, and then we'll just try to turn it on. Okay, so everything's all connected again now. You just have to remember to connect that display cable. But yeah, so now it looks like, you know, hard drive's completely blank, it's not loading up, so I've got to get probably the OS Dude software and get that installed on a USB stick, stick that in the back of the Mac. I still have no idea if the RAM is working or not. I won't know until I try and install an OS, so let's see about that. But yeah, let me go and get a USB DOS dude software. Probably, I can't remember, was it not Catalina, Mojave. Actually, when I turn on the iMac, usually there's a grinding noise, which I think is coming from the optical drive. So I think I might actually remove that. I'm gonna turn it on. Hopefully, you can hear the optical drive go. You hear that? Yeah. So I'm gonna remove the optical drive, I think. So this is the next day now, and it's just been absolutely terrible. So basically, I couldn't get the blank SSD to be recognized by the iMac. That was a joke. So I had to basically copy the image of my hard drive, and then I couldn't copy it onto this SSD because it was too small. Tried this SSD, it was too small. This SSD was actually supposed to go inside my new computer build, but anyways, I had to use this one because it was the same size or big enough to keep the image of the file, which is actually a joke really, because if you have a look here, I'll show you. The actual usage on the hard drive, the previous one, was only 13 gig, but it needed me to have a 225 gig SSD, so I had to go with this one. But hopefully now I should have everything restored and I don't have to actually go and download any of the apps again, so it's all good. Right, so the SSD is installed with the temperature sensor put on there. So this is the 256 gig one. So I'm just going to close it up now, and then hopefully, I hope so, just turn on. This was a lot more headache than it was worth. And there we have it. It's actually booting up. I don't know what's going on right now. I think I've accidentally copied something, but it's booting Ubuntu. What the hell? It's booted into Ubuntu. That is crazy. Okay, so I don't know what happened. I've made a mistake somewhere in copying the image of my disk, I think. I know what happened. I think I accidentally copied the wrong SSD, and then yeah, so that's not that bad. All right, so I need to now just go back and redo this. That's funny that I accidentally installed Ubuntu. So I figured since I'm accidentally in Linux anyways, I'll just try and upgrade the RAM now, just to see if it's working. Because obviously this RAM stick is 666 speed, and I installed the second RAM, and as you can see, 3.8 gig of RAM, which is nice, or memory there. So yeah, so that's cool. So at least I know the upgrade for the RAM works. The computer's recognizing it. So now let's get macOS back on here. Although a good thing is, for example, I've actually got not this iMac that I'm actually working on replacing the screen for, and I could probably install Linux on there to speed that up. So that this might be a valid alternative for you if your iMac is still too slow. Maybe just install Linux, because honestly, Linux is really fast. Alright, so it took 4.5 hours, but I've finished cloning the SD, or the hard drive. So I've given up now. I'm just going to put back in this hard drive. I'm hoping I haven't wiped it accidentally, but I mean, I think with these SSDs, they're designed to run at 6 gigabits per second, and I think the old hard drives and stuff are 3 gigabits. So I don't think this computer is able to run at 6 gigabits, so I don't think it's going to work, to be honest, regardless to what I do. I mean, I'm about 9 hours into this project now, and all I was trying to do was upgrade the speed of my kid's living room computer. You know, it's sadly such a waste of time, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'm sticking this hard drive back in, and if this doesn't work, then I'm just going to scrap the whole iMac and renegade or delegate it. Renegade, well, I don't know what the word is. Renegade it into my projects pile. Because yeah, this is incredibly frustrating. So I'm sticking this back in, and yeah. So it looks like that worked. Putting the hard drive back in, and it's just started booting again straight away. So for whatever reason, these SSD cards not working for me at all. Okay, so I'm all fully up and running now. Back in the standard Catalina, which I think I'm probably just leave on at this point. I'm just so done with this one. So yeah, I've obviously got 4 gig of RAM in here. Let's just confirm that. So about this Mac. And then we've got memory. Yeah, so you can see it's upgraded to 4 gig. Sadly, I can't go up to 6 gig because it's just too expensive right now. I'm hoping that 33% increase in memory should hopefully improve the performance. So here I've got a game that my kids like to play. So this is actually on the Safari browser, bbc.co.uk. Alright, so I mean that's good enough really. It's working. Yeah, so as of right now, I mean it seems to be okay. So I'm just gonna leave it at this, to be honest with you. It was the total fail, but yeah, don't make my mistake. You know, these are new SSDs. I'm assuming, at least I can't get them to work. I don't know how I'd go about doing it. But yeah, so I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, this was a bummer one, but is what it is. Kind of upgraded it, I suppose. Anyways, see you in the next one. So I'm editing this video and I just couldn't help but feeling like, you know, I'd just been completely defeated by this iMac. I was completely, I mean, literally, we're talking about, you know, a good 9-10 hours I put into this just to figure out that the SSDs I'm using are the wrong SSDs. And so and actually, to be honest with you, I didn't know if I should mention this or not, but I actually electrocuted myself as well whilst I was working on the iMac. Basically, I touched the power supply by accident, or I connected the chassis of the screen to the power supply whilst it was bloody plugged in. I didn't realize I didn't unplug it, so that really annoyed me as well. And so I just wanted to just be done with the project after that. Like, actually, funny enough, my my heart hurt for a while actually, but I'm okay. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do now is I've done a bit more research into it, and I really don't want to put any more time into this bloody iMac. But I've done a bit more research into it. I found this 120 gig SSD, which is a 3 gigabits per second SSD. So, you know, half the speed of these ones, and I'm hoping that this one's gonna work. I'm just gonna order it off of Amazon. It's £27, which is, you know, more than I want to pay, and it's hilarious that I'm paying more for something that's half as slow, but is what it is. To be honest with you, these iMacs, I really like them, especially, you know, for my kids. They're really firm, really sturdy. You know, the fact that there isn't a big computer base at the bottom underneath their desk or anything like that, I like it. I really do like the iMac. So I want to keep it for as long as possible, and upgrading to SSD is probably going to be ideal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video here. This will be hopefully part 2. And if you see another video from me on this iMac, then it's because I managed to get this SSD working. So if I do manage to upgrade the SSD on this iMac, I'll let you know. Alright guys, thanks for watching. So I've used this USB extension to clone, using the disk utility to clone my main hard drive in the iMac onto this. So now I'm going to stick this in the iMac and hopefully it works. I decided I'll remove the optical drive as well, just because it adds weight to it, and then I also think it's making a grinding noise. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to remove it anyways. SSD in place, let's get rid of this. Turns out to be a bit harder than I thought. So firstly, there's this temperature sensor, which they've got attached to the optical drive as well, which is a bit weird for one. I don't know if I need that, if I do I need to plug it back in there. Secondly, there's this cable over here that's just like screwed into the optical drive, which is a bit weird. So I'm going to have to unscrew these to get it out. What's really annoying is Apple keep using all these different type of like different sizes of the T-screws. So I'm having to switch between like 10 different sizes, which is annoying. I mean, not 10, but it's like 3 or something, which is well annoying. So that's the driver. I'm a bit concerned that it won't work, so I don't know. But yeah, just leave this here. I mean, technically, I've heard of some people attaching. Oh, you can see, what's that? Oh, this is the inverter for the screen, I believe. But yeah, I've heard of some people attaching a hard drive to the optical drive, but this bus is going to be a lot slower, so I don't know how that would work. But I'm not going to do that. I'll just leave it like that. Although now that I think about it, one possible problem is that now this bit is open, and obviously my kids could just stick stuff in there, and the inverter's right there. Oh dear. Okay, I think what I'll do is I'll attach this if I could just make it, if I just make it sit there but not be attached, I don't know if that's possible, then at least that way I've just noticed another problem is that when I come to screw in the case. It looks like that is part of the case itself. So removing that, like if you have a look here, that's what you could probably still get a screw underneath there. So, but anyways, I'm gonna leave that there because I don't want my kids to shove stuff inside the computer whilst it's on. So I'll leave it like that, and I'll just mount one screw down, but leave it disconnected so that obviously I don't have to use the drive, but at the same time, you wouldn't hear the grinding noise. Attach this other temperature sensor here because I just don't want any issues. I don't trust that. I'm assuming Apple's going to throw up an error, so I'm going to plug it in and just leave it floating. Because technically, as long as the sensor's plugged in, you know, even if it's reading 24 degrees when it's expecting 50, it should still work, right? Alright, so I've left both temperature sensors there floating. And like just stick that in there. No, I would just leave it floating here. That's fine. Okay, so I've apparently got something stuck in my fan, which is what's causing the noise, probably a cable. But more importantly, I can't get it to boot into anything. Literally, like, you know, either I just get the flashing folder, or when I hold the options, so if I press Command R, just get flashing folder, or I don't think it even does anything. I can't get to disk utilities, nothing. Tried external USBs. Apparently, the hard drive cable is bad, and you need to use a newer, up-to-date, faster hard drive cable. Which at this point, I'm just cannot at all be bothered with this. Like, I'm holding Command R, nothing. So yeah, so let's take a look to see what this cable, if it's easy to get to or not. We'll see. Alright, at this point, I'm giving up. I mean, I don't know what SATA cable I'm going to need, and I'm going to have to remove all of this heatsink, lift up the board, and then hope that, you know, somewhere here the cable is. What's weird is that I can't find anything online about anyone else having this problem, so I don't know if it's just me, but what's the point? I'm just going to get rid of the SSD, stick the hard drive back in. I'm done. I mean, yeah, it's just not worth my time. I'm about 14 hours into this now, which is crazy. 14 hours on this. Ugh. Anyways, I'm done. Closing it up now. Well, I'm sticking the hard drive back in, closing it up, and yeah, sorry I couldn't help you guys with the SSD upgrade. I've got my RAM up to 4 gig. I don't think I even achieved anything else. I disconnected the optical drive, but that's about it. Yeah. Anyways, hard drive going back in. Thanks for watching, guys, and I shall see you in the next one. So I don't know what it is about me. I've got a problem when it comes to just not being able to give up. But it looks like this SATA cable comes through here and it's connected just here. So it looks like I don't actually need to. Go and pull this off. Let's see. There you go, look. That's that. So it seems like I might be able to just... I've got two SATA cables here, which they're fairly old. They're from like PCs around 2010, 2012. So this might not even work as well. I don't know. I can't... If they had like some sort of date or something on this, I could find out. But another option... Let me just pull this... Okay, pull this RAM cover off. Yeah, so it seems like, I'm guessing that's just gone straight to the hard drive. You know, actually I could test. Let me take the screen out again. Okay, so I checked it out, and when I'm pulling on this, you can see, so for example, like, look here, see the hard drive moving. That's definitely the right cable for it. Cannot be bothered to go try and lift up all of this. I'm thinking I've got a SATA cable here. I don't really know if this is the right one or not. Just try and connect it to this port over here. Okay, it's not going that way. Alright, so mine's going the reverse way, which is a problem. Because I'm now going to need to bend it this way. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Okay. Like that. I don't think that's too high, way too high. Nothing's gonna... You see, it's like when I started this, I was thinking to myself, it would just be, I could probably do it in half an hour. I've done so much iMac stuff. But then, nope. Nope, nope, nope. So which way was this? This thing was connected. What way? It's connected this way, right? So it's just the opposite angle. I mean, I've got some spare computers here which I can try and go through and find more SATA cables. Do they connect the opposite way as well? No, they don't. Only going one way. The other end of this is this flat one, or this straight one here, which isn't going to be any use. Yeah, I don't know. Apparently, the company that I bought this OWC, that they sell like adapter kits. So I'm just going to quickly take a look on their website, I think. See if they have an iMac 2009 upgrade kit. Okay, at this point I'm losing my mind. So I've cut up the SATA data cable, like cut it up a lot to squeeze one in there, and I've just tested out now to see if I can get the case back on, and the case is actually on flush as well, which is crazy. So I'm gonna try and attempt to turn it on now, and who knows what's gonna happen. I don't expect it to work, but I've literally chopped up all the plastic using these on the SATA cable so I can get it to bend enough. Yeah, man. What's funny is that obviously the hard drive isn't in there yet. It's still got the SSD in there. But I'm going to try. I figured with the chopped up SATA cable to turn on the Mac now, if it boots fine with the hard drive that I know is working, then I can try and stick in the SSD. So let's try that. So other than the loud fan, it works fine. Which is crazy. Well, it's booting fine. Let's see if it gets to the OS. But yeah, I mean, the fan is annoying. I can't think about what to do with that. I don't even know what to do with it. I mean, in theory, I could just remove the fan entirely, but I'm not going to do that. I mean, I'd rather just leave the noise. As long as I get it working with the SSD, then at least I could end this project as a success, even though we're talking about 16 hours into it now. But yeah. Would you look at that? It actually went fully into the OS. So that's good. Okay. Time to pull it all out. Let me show you my contraption. It's hilarious, trust me. Firstly, have a look. This is the SATA cable that I'm using, right? And as you can see, I've cut it there so that it can bend. Let me show you it. If you look along the line, it kind of sticks out, but with the Mac case, with the casing on it, put quite a bit of pressure on it, and then it closes nicely, which is alright. So the other thing is the other end of this is underneath the screen right now. I didn't bother wiring it through the thing, forget that. And actually I just tucked the old one away here as well. But yeah, so let me show you the one up here. Okay, it's screen off. Have a look at this. I've got it going from there and then just across the motherboard and then to here. This was a proper challenge, so I had to cut this one up a fair bit. So you can see I got cut away the plastic, and thankfully I didn't cut into the wires, although I did kind of cut into one of the wires there. But obviously the hard drive's still working. So now that I know that this ridiculous solution that I'm doing here is working, let me unplug this, put in the SSD, and hopefully it will boot. I'm actually a bit dumb because I realized that obviously with the SSD it's much slower than the hard drive, so that would be fine in there like that. Wouldn't have really needed to have cut it there. So yeah. My fan noise is coming from this display cable here, which I don't really know what to do about because the fan's not making noise like that, but then when that's touching it, but I don't really get how I'm supposed to get it to not touch it. I haven't really touched that cable, so I have to try and do something to stop that from making a noise. Okay, so I've just attached a bit of tape to that LVDS cable to hold it out of the way of the fan. It probably won't last long, but once the screen's down, hopefully it will just stay in place. Okay, so there's a buzzing sound, okay, which is now gone. The fan isn't making any noise now. So this has the SD card inside it. Or sorry, the SSD card. Currently no boot. Okay, well, this is different. Okay, no, I'm getting the flashing thing. Okay, let me try and get into the settings while using the keyboard, but I'm thinking it's not gonna work. Alright, so that was a total failure, and I'm officially done. I couldn't get the SSD for some reason. Again, wouldn't recognize it. Even with all of this SATA cable adjustment stuff. I mean, unless it's possible that maybe the data cable needs to be done as well, but yeah, I'm literally yawning. I'm so done with this, just bored. So definitely, I think this is the 5th or 6th time I've said I'm done now. But yeah, I'm officially done. Sticking the hard drive back in, it's good enough. And I did consider that I could get Linux to work. Ubuntu worked fine on the SSD, so I could use Linux, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad shout. And I think that might be something to do in future. If, for example, this hard drive does fail, then maybe to just go with a Linux SSD and boot from that. And then my kids could just use the games in the browser. And Linux will probably be, I could probably optimize Linux better than I can Mac. But I think in this instance, just gonna stick with the Mac for now because they enjoy the games that they have on there from the App Store. So yeah, maybe I'll see this again in a year's time when I know a bit more about computing. But right now, total failure for me. Total failure. Alright, so two things. I was asked if the Catalina dark mode and light mode worked in changing it. So here's a test where I show you that it does clearly work. So yeah, you can see that. And DOS dude's done a great job on the software, and I highly recommend him if you're going to be upgrading your OS. And secondly, if you do know how to get the SSD working, let me know, and maybe at some point in the long distant future, I'll have another go at repairing this. But for now, I'm definitely done with this. All right, thanks for watching, guys. See you later.